Welcome to the Friends of FEADies podcast, brought to you by Feed Canada, our funding partner, ISED, and founding partner, the Saskatchewan Food Centre. This show is all about celebrating the incredible journeys of female entrepreneurs in the agri-food and food manufacturing sector. We're here to dish out the secrets of success and serve up a side of inspiration along the way. We are the Feed program where dreams are made, businesses are born, and the agri-food world is your oyster. Let's dine together.
All right. Welcome back to the Friends of FEADies podcast. I'm your host, Lindsay Toth, and today I'm thrilled to welcome back one of our most loved guests, Domenique Mastronardi, COO and co-founder at Beck's Broth. You may remember her from episode 25, where she shared her leap from solopreneur to partner. We spoke about how trusting her gut shaped her journey and her experience pitching on Dragon's Den and a lot more. So if you haven't checked out that episode, give it a listen. Since then, Beck's Broth has hit a major milestone, over $1 million in revenue. So today we're going to dive deep on what it really takes to build $1 million food brand in Canada. Hi, Dom. Welcome.
Hi, thank you. Thanks for the intro.
Yeah, no problem. I'm really excited to have you sit down with us again. You're my first ever return guest, so very excited to have you. And can you just let us know what's been happening with Beck's Broth since we last spoke to you? Just a high level, of course.
Yeah, so I forget exactly when we spoke, but we've definitely probably doubled the size of our team, which has been probably the most rewarding part of work, just getting to build out our dream team of girly pops who are working towards the same mission. And we've also launched a bunch of new flavors. So we launched our salted caramel and our mint hot chocolate over the holidays, and we're working on a fall flavor now.
Ooh, very exciting. Yeah. Love to hear that. How did it feel to hit that $1 million revenue mark?
It felt honestly underwhelming at first because we didn't notice it. And then one day Becky just woke up and she was like, yo, Dom, like we hit it a couple days ago. And I was like, oh yeah, it's just like another day, another sale. We're just, we're growing. But then I actually stepped back and I was like, when we wrote Beck's Broth is going to be $1 million business on a sticky note, like 2 years ago, that number just felt like a dream that we were really just doing affirmations for. And then that number just became so real and it just felt like, whoa, we're actually doing something that felt impossible before. How cool is that? But I still can't really conceptualize that number. Like $1 million just feels so big. Yeah, not like a lot. Depends on how you compare yourself to other businesses. And it's just a really huge number to wrap our heads around.
Yeah, it's amazing. So I'm very curious. Did you have kind of set milestones leading up to that 1 million that you focused on?
Yeah, we did. So initially it was, have a $10,000 month and that would amortize to $120,000 a year. And then once we kind of hit that, our next big milestone was 30,000. We hit that 1 month, I think, because we were doing Dragon's Den. We just put out an ask to our community being like, hey, we need to increase our sales. We need to show the dragons we're legit. Please order if you like our product. And then we hit that $30,000-$40,000 milestone. And then really quickly, we hit $100,000 in sales. And how that happened was it was September of 2024. We got our first loan. So we ordered a bunch of inventory and November started. And then that inventory started to trickle in because we have about a 90-day cycle for our inventory. And we had a bunch of like Christmas shows. And I said to the team, hey, we're going to hit $100,000 this month with this, which is more than double what we've ever done. And I actually texted my friend and ordered a cake. And I was like, I need 100K on a cake. Figure out how you're going to make it. But we're going to need it. And we ended up hitting it that month, way before the month end. And that was when we kind of knew that the more we focus on these goals, the faster we're going to get to them. So we were at a cabin in October and I just casually said to the girls, hey, by next year, this time, we're definitely going to hit $1 million in revenue. And then we ended up hitting it in like 6 months. So just setting goals, even if I don't know exactly when we're going to hit them, it's kind of hard to guess as a business owner. Just putting out there what would be a really cool dream has been really helpful for us to hit those goals one day.
Yeah, amazing. So obviously, being able to scale is one of the things that helps you hit that milestone. Were there some like key decisions you made early on that helped in that process of scaling?
Absolutely. We hired two really awesome girls on our team probably before we needed them. And that set up a solid foundation for us. I have it written on my whiteboard over here. It says, all things that grow need a solid foundation. And that's the mindset we had going in, was how are we going to invest in this brand and make ourselves look larger than life? So if you look at Beck's Broth on our Instagram, we look like we have a lot of money. We look like a big brand. All of our photography is beautiful and juicy, and our team photos and our video. So that was one thing we invested in. And we also invested in an operations specialist, because that was my job, operations and finance. And I don't like doing day-to-day tasks. I'm really bad at starting at the same time and doing the same repeat tasks every single day. I just don't thrive there. I really thrive with like the strategy and the vision. And things were starting to slip through the cracks already in the early days. So we hired someone who's really, really detail oriented. Shout out Kayla. And she took on that side of my job, just making sure all of our ingredients get ordered, all of our bills get paid, emails are answered within a few hours. And those two key hires, that social media and the operations, really set us up for being organized to be able to make that huge growth in sales, then also making us worthy of making that growth in sales, making us look like that legit brand that people trust and want to buy from.
Awesome. And would you say that there was feedback that you received either from customers or from other people that kind of shaped that direction?
Yeah, we get a lot of feedback. One thing that we do really well is we're in the DMs on Instagram. So if you follow us on Instagram, you're going to get a personal welcome message from Becky. Like, it's actually her on there messaging you, welcoming you to our little corner of the internet. And what that does is it opens up a dialogue between us and the customer, where they might have just followed us and forgotten about us. Now we are on their radar right away. And they also know they're talking to a human, because it's not an automated message. And people get excited and they'll talk to us and they'll say, hey, can you do this? Can you do that? So one of the biggest things we got requested was a bulk format, because right now our sachets are sold in individual servings. You get a case of 12, and people are like, we're wasting plastic. It's expensive. What can you do for us? So it's been a year in the making, but we're working on a bulk tin. And that came directly just from I know, so excited. We just got the samples in, actually. But that came directly from customers asking for what we need. And it's tricky because you want to take feedback, but then also people will say things and then they might not actually want to spend money on it. So as an example, people were asking us for merch all the time. Merch. People don't really like spending money on merch. They want it for free. So we got like the best quality sweaters we could. They were $100, and nobody wanted to order them at that price, which makes a lot of sense. They're expensive, but like, it's just a balance of listening to what our customers want, but then thinking about what people will actually choose to spend their money on. So a lot of the times we won't take the feedback. Like when we were making our salted caramel flavor, we had like the third person who tried it really didn't like it. And Becky and I were like, you know what? We love this. We're not even going to give it to anyone else. We're going to put it into production. And on our launch day, everyone absolutely adored it. We were sampling it at CHFA West. And that just validated that sometimes we just need to go with our gut and make the decision that we know is best for the business, and kind of just block out the noise, for lack of a better word.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sounds like you just sometimes need to really filter that feedback.
Exactly.
Because people have lots of ideas and opinions and stuff, but that doesn't necessarily always translate to sales and what they're actually going to spend their money on.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. So kind of talking about sales and that sort of thing, what was most effective for a sales channel for you guys growing to this $1 million mark?
So we have a few different sales channels. I'll kind of walk you through our sales channel by split. So our biggest channel is our e-commerce, becksbroth.com. That's a Shopify store. 2 reasons. I think customers just like having things delivered to their door, so it's easy for them. And they get their subscription, so it's a little bit cheaper. But then also on our end, it is our most profitable channel because we don't have to give that margin to a retailer or someone else. So our goal has always been 70% direct to consumer, 30% retail. Retail really drives that brand awareness and that trial, whereas we want people to get converted to being a subscriber on our website for convenience for them. And then it's also more profitable for us. Literally everyone's just saving money on that aspect. So Right now it's about 50% e-commerce, and then 10% of our sales come from Amazon, which is awesome. So Amazon.ca, Amazon.com, we work with an agency to do sales there. And that channel is not as profitable because on Amazon, you pay a referral fee. So similar to how you would give margin to a retailer, you give margin to Amazon. And then on top of that, if you want to do it right, you need to hire an agency. We work with an awesome agency. They're local and they do really great work for us, and they've helped us increase our sales while still turning a bit of a profit. But between the referral fee and the agency fees, it's a little bit less profitable. So we got 50% Shopify, becksbroth.com, 10% Amazon, then about 10% working directly with retailers. So that's just us picking up the phone and cold calling them and just, doing what we can. And as an example, we needed to hit our sales goals. Today is July 31st. And Becky picked up the phone for 25 minutes 2 days ago, and she closed, I think, $3,000 worth of sales. So doing the direct cold calling, just sometimes, even though we have a sales broker and a distributor, the cold calling just works because they're hearing directly from the founder. We're giving them a deal. We're making it really easy for them. And they're just, they're caught off guard. It's like, we'll order, rather than it getting lost in an email. So we have 10% there. And then the final 30% comes from retail, our distributor. And with our distributor, they will do a little bit of sales. And we also work with a sales broker to do the sales there. And that 30% has been growing month over month, which is so cool to see because we're seeing really big purchase orders, like $10,000, $20,000 purchase orders. And it just feels so good to see our store count go from, I think last time we talked, maybe we were around 100, 200. Now we're over 400. So that's been a huge asset for us.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I do find that lots of times people just get so in their head that like going to retail is the thing that they need to do. And like, it's obviously a really important piece of it, but I love to hear that you're focusing on, growing your own platform, your own website. So I guess like talking about retail and stuff, can you kind of tell us a little bit about how that your the retail side of things has evolved for you guys?
Yeah, so taking it way back, we used to sell in frozen glass jars. So we had our products at retail in about 10 stores in the freezer. And that was not cute because who was going into the freezer to buy a hot chocolate? It just wasn't intuitive. It was getting lost in the sauce. And it's not something that you think to do. Honestly, I got gifted a thing of really nice bone broth a couple weeks ago. So cute, actually. I was at a store demo and someone gifted me like this really nice bone broth. But I don't intuitively think to thaw it, so it's just been sitting in my freezer. So that's when we knew we had to pivot. And this was before I joined. Becky did this pivot to the shelf stable. And once we did that, we started to get into more retailers. So first it was just cold calling, going to trade shows and selling into stores that way. And we were maybe at around 30 stores a month. That's kind of when we knew that we could get a distributor. That's a key metric that I get asked about a lot. And really getting into 30 stores and making sure your product is moving before paying a distributor and giving up that margin is a really smart move. And I also don't think a distributor would take you on if you didn't at least have that amount of product market fit. So after 30 stores, it was Healthy Planet. It's a chain in Ontario. I think it has 40 doors. And we got there through a networking event where the buyer for Healthy Planet was there. And she helped us get on her shelves within 3 weeks. So she got us in touch with the distributor after hours. The next day we were talking to them. And it's kind of like the chicken or the egg thing. No one wants to take you when you're new, especially because you don't have enough accounts. You're not going to make the money. So for a store buyer with 40 stores to get us in touch with this distributor and say, please distribute them, the distributor is like, awesome, we're going to make money on at least 40 new stores. So we'll do it. So that opened up a lot of doors for us in Ontario. And then in January of 2025, we started with a national distributor. And that's when things really started to move because we could now sell across the country without having to do all of those relationships directly. And we were going to hire a sales manager internally to manage all those relationships because the distributor is more of a logistics company. The one we work with does a lot of sales and they're really good with relationship building and we train their team. I was just on a team training with them now. So they're really good sales advocates for Beck's Broth, but you still need someone to kind of bridge that gap between the distributor and the category manager at the store level. And instead of hiring someone on salary, we ended up working with a sales broker we're on a retainer with them now, and that's just a little bit cheaper. So we get access to a team of 20 salespeople across the country, but we only pay them a monthly fee rather than having to pay someone a salary, but we're getting access to those relationships across the country. And that has just, again, taken us from that maybe 100 to 400.
Wow. Yeah, that's great. So another piece of it obviously is the community and stuff. So what's been the role of like events, markets, and that sort of thing in your growth?
Yeah, we do a lot of events in a lot of markets, and we have our feet on the ground pretty strongly here now in Ontario. And then now starting to more across the country, specifically out west. We just did a week-long bender at Stampede where we were doing brand activations. We do things in Vancouver too around CHFA season. And we also will invest heavily. Like we'll pay our events agency $2,000 or $3,000 to show up at an event for the weekend. Typically they're selling product, but still that's a lot of money when you think about it. And the reason for that is, well, a few. We want to show up and have conversations with our customers. I think a big reason why people buy our products is because they like us and they like being friends with us. They want to be a part of our brand and they connect with our story. They connect with us being female founders. They connect with Becky's story of being a holistic nutritionist. They connect with my story about having a parasite and needing to heal my gut and not being able to digest food. So when we get to these events, we can actually have those conversations and also encourage customers to try it, because now bone broth is trending, but 3 years ago, people were confused and grossed out when we would offer them a beef bone broth coffee or hot chocolate. So we need to have people try our product, and it's $100 for a carton online. So it's really nice for them to get to have a little taste first, get to know the brand, and really just start getting exposed to us. I know in marketing, they say it often takes 7 touch points before a customer converts. So if an event can be a touch point, I really think it counts as 2, because you're getting a conversation and you're getting to try it. So for us, it's always just worth the money, and there seems to be a positive ROI, or at the bare minimum, we tend to break even at events, which is enough for us to keep going.
I saw you guys were at the Stampede, and love to see your social media, and your team does such a great job of that balance of talking about the product, but also kind of like bringing people on the journey with you. So I wanted to compliment that, and
Thank you.
just kind of ask what pieces of kind of the social media marketing side of things, or I guess I should say kind of digital marketing side of things, have you found to be like kind of the best investments for Beck's Broth?
Yeah. So back to the behind the scenes of Stampede, for us, it was like a constant reminder. Becky was like, guys, post on stories. Dom, post on stories. Like everyone, just post what you're doing. I always like to think that I'm nosy. Other people are nosy. I want to know what you're doing. Like I want to know what you're doing after hours. I want to see the silly hours. I want to know what you're eating for breakfast. I want to know where you guys are today. So we try to channel that on our socials, and that's free to do, because all we need to do is post what we're doing. And often like the analytics of a really raw organic post, whether it's on social media, whether it's on Instagram or TikTok, but then also even on LinkedIn, people just really connect with the more juicy, authentic pieces of content that are a little bit less curated. So that's free to do pretty much. And that's something I would recommend everyone to do. But on top of that, we do a lot of intentional content. So we do education pieces on what bone broth is, how to make it. We create a lot of recipes. Recipes are probably our most engaged with, in terms of like shares, comments, likes, saves. So that piece is super helpful. And then we also I'll share the numbers, an $18,000 photography budget for the year. So we do a lot of photo shoots. We were just at a photo shoot in June, and then now it's July, and we just had one a couple days ago. It was super fun. But the way we look at photo shoots is it's a fun way for the team to hang out. And then we're also getting all of our social content, and we're going to look larger than life. And it just translates into so many avenues, because now if I'm a keynote speaker, I have a good headshot. If the team is doing something, we have a good team photo. I know you guys do the same thing at Feed, and it just really elevates anything that we do. And when we're doing a retail, now we have a retailer, we have this whole Google Drive with all of our photography. So now it's like, here's all this free, gorgeous photography and videography. Use it however the heck you want. And then that converts into us getting posted for free on socials. And oftentimes we have to pay $1,000 to get posted on someone's socials. So we just try to make it really easy by doing a lot of internal photography. It's a little bit more expensive, but when you think about the cost of hiring creators and paying for posts, it ends up coming out in the wash. And then we have control over how good it looks, and we get to have fun with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, we've seen a lot of value in that too, where I've had people say that, like, do you just like have people take pictures of you for work? And it's like, well, no, it's like for ourselves, we have photos, and for entrepreneurs. And the piece that you said that I wanted to highlight was making it easy. So like for others, but for your own team as well, it's like your social media people have so much to pull from now with all that you've created. So I love that.
Totally.
So I'm going to pivot a little bit. We've been talking a lot about things that have worked really well. But I was just kind of curious, was there anything that didn't work that you wish you maybe hadn't to put time and money into, or was everything just a learning process and all worth it?
Depends what time of the month you ask me, okay? I am a huge reframer. I'm annoyingly positive, and in my personal life too, I always try to take something as a lesson. So typically I don't regret things that have happened. But something that's come up as a learning experience is just not having my hands in everything. So we went from being a team of 2 partners to being a team of 8. And the girls on our team are honestly smarter than me. Like, everyone who we've hired has brought some sort of value that I can't bring. So when I trust someone with something, I really trust them with it. And the same goes for when we hire experts. So we'll hire contractors to, do our Amazon agency, do our fulfillment, do our finances. There's an expert for everything, and that's a huge value for us. But as a founder, I need to remember that I can be nosy and be a helicopter and see what's going on in there and peel back the layers. And there's been times where, an invoice could have been half the cost if I would have just said, hey, let's do this differently. Like, let's, I don't want to get into too many details, but what's going on here? Where are we spending our time, and how can we do it differently to be more efficient? And oftentimes it's not because anyone's trying to overcharge us. They just are busy too, and they're just doing things the way they know how to do them. And for me, my job is to constantly be auditing what's happening and not taking my hand off the pulse. And what's been really helpful is hiring our ops specialist, because anything tedious or day to day, I delegate to her. That way, when I wake up, I have time in my calendar to actually just poke around to be curious. And that's been really, really helpful for us. So that's one thing. I would say another thing is I wish we would have gotten another loan sooner. We didn't really have any financing until maybe almost a year after I joined, aside from like a startup loan. And we were constantly in a cash flow traffic jam. We weren't paying ourselves. We had a really hard time piecing together invoices because, you're buying things way ahead of time. Even though we were profitable on paper, like the cash just doesn't come in right away. So I was scared of taking out a loan before we knew 1000% that we had product market fit, because I didn't want to be liable for like hundreds of thousands of dollars. But in hindsight, I think we did validate our product for 2 years. We could have taken a loan a little bit earlier, and that would have been really helpful for us, because debt is just buying money. You're just paying a little bit of a surcharge to get the money when you need it to be able to grow faster. And that would have just prevented some early headaches and fears and needing to do cash draws off the credit card and things that we all do.
Yeah, I've been listening to more podcasts, learning about that, and just how we all have these like hang-ups around money, and like learning to kind of like work through that, because it's a totally valid fear if you're not, you haven't validated your product yet. But yeah, just taking that leap is not always, it's not an easy thing. So talking about a little bit more about scaling and stuff, when you started kind of scaling, growing everything bigger, was there things that broke in your processing, or just like broke when you're scaling things, and how did you kind of work through that?
Absolutely. Where do I even start? Raw materials. We started producing way more sugar, and it was clumping. And we had to make a new process for double sifting our sugar so that it wouldn't break our machinery. That sucked because it's a manual process and we didn't want to break the machinery. So that didn't feel good getting that piece of feedback. Operations wise, APAR broke. Our accounts receivable got up to $100,000 at one point because initially we could just kind of keep an eye on invoices, and then all of a sudden we have so many invoices and I wasn't checking on them or harassing people to pay on time. And we had to make a new system where every single Monday we do Money Mondays, and Kayla will reach out to all of the outstanding invoices and just remind them that they have an invoice to pay. And that's been really helpful. We got it down from 100,000 to around 20,000, which is comfy for us. Accounts payable. It's hard to remember when to pay an invoice. It's hard to know. We were paying e-transfers, and our e-transfer limit was $2,500, and sometimes our bone broth invoice is $30,000. So we're paying it over the course of how many days, and then it's like you forget what you paid for, and sometimes it's due half one day, half the other, but you have to start paying it 4 days in advance because you have payroll on the one day, and then that uses up your e-transfer amount. So it was just, a huge mess, and making a spreadsheet and also increasing our limit once we were allowed to solve that problem. So that was great. And then things that have evolved over time, Becky and I used to have sorry, that's not the right word. We used to have a way more heart-to-heart founders meeting on every Monday morning. And now we have a team of 8. So we've had to restructure the way that the two of us communicate, because now it's more about our team and cross-functional conversations. So we evolved that conversation, but then also had to figure out how to make time for us to just, yap and be friends and figure out what that looks like as we evolve. So everything around the $1 million mark felt hard. Everything felt hard. I've spent a lot of days in my room just trying to figure out where we can get a new supplier, how we can make a spreadsheet that's going to work for something. Is it worth spending the money on this software? But now it seems that the systems that we implemented are going to take us to maybe 2 to 5 million before we really need to revamp them again.
Amazing. Yeah, and it is that thing with social media. You always see the highlights and stuff, so it's easy to forget about like the hard days sometimes as someone looking in. But yeah, you were just talking about systems, and so I was curious about that. Is there any specific systems or tools that were really essential for you guys that you think other people might want to consider?
Yeah, so we have a decent amount of tools. Some are free, some are paid. The biggest one for us is Slack. I highly recommend using Slack for your team communications. You can have different group chats, and then we have different sections for different topics. So like we'll have an operations channel, an accounting channel, a marketing channel, a sales channel, and that just keeps conversations really organized. But we always remind our team with Slack, it's like you're texting each other. But if there's an action item, please send it in an email, because my email is my to-do list. So really just training our team on, if you need something done, put it in an email, because Slack is like you open a text and you respond, then you just forget there's an action item there. Some of our team uses Asana for project tracking. We just have the free version. I really like it because if something comes into my inbox that I want to archive or file away, but has an action item in 3 months, I'll add it to my Asana with the due date. And that's kind of how I keep track of my longer term projects. So I'll have different boards for different topics like grants, loans, operations, product development, and that just allows me to kind of brain dump there. If it's in your head, I always try to get it out of my head and onto paper, and Asana is really nice for that. And then I'll have a section for in progress, future tasks. That way I can just see what I need to do from day to day. But at the end of the day, I just have a running to-do list on my notes app. It's the easiest thing for me. I can move things from day to day. It syncs on my phone, it syncs on my iPad, and it's just, I don't know, it's tried and true. It works for me. So those are some of the systems that we use. We also use Shopify for our sales, QuickBooks for accounting. We use something called HubDoc, which allows us to upload our receipts directly off of an app on our phone, and that auto kind of categorizes them. So that really saves us a lot of time with accounting. And then the rest of it is pretty much just spreadsheets. We've tried inventory software and we realized it just wasn't worth the money. We can do it on a spreadsheet. So we just use Google Suite. It's free. It's easy because it's all in the cloud and everyone can always access it. And it's lovely. It works really well for us.
Great. Yeah. Never underestimate the value of a spreadsheet.
I know. Pro tip though, I literally drilled it into everyone's head that they need to update the spreadsheet to be our font and our brand colors, because it's so much more approachable when it's cute. I hate when it's ugly. So that's been something we've been working on more, is like, make me want to look at this, please.
Yeah, for project management stuff, I've used a lot throughout the years with different people I've worked with and different projects and stuff. And that was kind of always myself for Monday.com is it's one that it's like very visually pleasing. And that for me is like, it makes me so much more likely to actually use it and want to spend time in there versus, something about the spreadsheet, unbranded or just, the not pretty one. It can feel overwhelming easier. That's a very good point.
Doesn't always hit.
Yeah, no, definitely not. So, for our members, for other food founders, if they're kind of looking to move from that small batch to the large scale, do you have any advice for them?
Yeah. I would say make sure you have product market fit, because that's key. You really want to make sure that people are buying your product at its price point before you scale. And I know it's annoying to think about that. And there's so many things on Instagram online where you can see, oh, I just went from having no product to having this huge product that I got mass produced in this beautiful facility, and I'm launching and it's selling like crazy. That's not always the reality for people. It's not an overnight success as much as it might feel like it. And taking that extra time to validate your product now might cost you, 8 weekends at a farmer's market, whatever it is. But that's better than spending $30,000 on a production run and having it not be perfect. So that would be one big piece of advice. Another one is, don't be afraid to ask for help. We always hire help. I don't know how to do everything. I don't know how to make an accounting spreadsheet that works for us. I don't know how to make a financial model, and I'm the finance person on our team. So we're constantly investing in projects that are going to help us. So we're not afraid to spend money on working with really smart advisors who are going to get us from point A to point B more efficiently, even if it costs a little bit more. And then, just remember that it sucks. You're going to be working a lot of hours. There's going to be so many times you're going to feel lonely and frustrated and like, damn, like, I can't believe that it's Sunday at 5 and I'm packing boxes in my house, or this batch didn't turn out, so I'm rushing to the kitchen to make another one, or I wish I could work with this co-packer, but I need to scale a little bit more. It's hard and it sucks, and it's a greasy mess sometimes, and you're putting in all these hours, and your friends and family might not understand like how tired you are all the time. But just as a founder who's done it and is still in it, it's hard. It's hard to not have a 9 to 5 all the time, and your friends are out, playing sports, or they're spending time with their family on a Sunday, and you're catching up on administrative tasks. Whatever it is, it amplifies when you scale at first, and then it does get easier. For us, it definitely got a lot easier when we got to it as shelf stable product. But just giving that like virtual hug that it's going to be hard, but don't let that discourage you, because no one shows it on their beautiful social media, but it is like a mutual feeling between all of us that there's just times that are going to test you.
Yeah. And I think that's probably comforting for people to hear. Not feel so alone in some of those struggles. We talked a little bit about money already. I wanted to just kind of pivot back just a second and ask you a little bit more around that mindset when it came to risk, and just like, how have you been able to change your mindset around the risk of like taking on debt, or the feeling of risk, I should say, maybe not it actually being a risk.
Yeah. The biggest thing for me is product market fit. Just knowing that people like our product brings me a lot of peace of mind. And then once you have that, I just remind myself that debt is buying money. I know I already said it, but I just want to unpack that. It's spending 10% more on your products. That's all you're doing. It's like, can I afford to spend 10% more to manufacture this product to sell it? And if the answer is yes, then why not take it? Like, yeah, of course, if everything goes wrong, you owe it back to the bank. But is everything really going to go wrong? Probably not. We have insurance. If our product spoils, we have insurance for that. Like, just making sure that we have our bases covered with the basic things, like paying for insurance like having an accountant who's going to be able to catch big numbers, like making sure that you have a bookkeeper to catch your HST refund, things that are really going to cause you financial stress, making sure you're taking the time, investing the money in those things. And then just remembering at the end of the day, like, if it's either a good time or a good story. Like, I do all of our product development and I get so stressed. I'll be like, what if I messed up this flavor? What if I didn't fill out the spreadsheet right? What if I did the calculation wrong and now 10,000 units go to shit? Like, okay, I'm going to tell the story online. Our customers are going to think it's hilarious and they're probably going to buy it because they think it's funny. So, really just talking myself through what is actually stressing me out. What's the actual worst case scenario and how are we going to get around it? I'm lucky to have a business partner. Becky would tell me the exact same thing. It's either a good time or a good story, but we'll just sit down. The other day we sat down at the fire after our photo shoot and I was like, yo, what's stressing you out today? And she just like vented off like 7 things to me, some of them business, some of them personal. And then it was like, okay, let's talk through them and actually just make ourselves feel better and make a plan about how we can make them better. Just like airing out our dirty laundry and sharing that with someone I trust has been really, really helpful for me, especially if it's something I'm embarrassed about. Like, just letting someone know that I made a mistake just takes all the weight off of it. And that just makes me feel less anxious overall and then less worried about what could go wrong.
I love that. That's so great to hear. I love that. And so is there like a financial mistake that you made in this process that you can share with us, and kind of what you, if you had to learn the hard way, so to speak?
One time I overpaid the credit card by $42,000. Yeah. Yeah.
So
What's that?
did they like let you use that as a credit, or?
They refunded it. It took 72 hours, but I, instead of paying the amount that we had to pay, I literally like took the number off of how much we had in our checking account and transferred that over or whatever to the credit card. So we had nothing left. And yeah, I told Becky I was like, please don't check the bank account for the next 3 days. And she actually, because when I told her, she didn't know. I think a few of us have made similar mistakes on our team. I think mine was the worst, but like where we protect each other from like, I know I'm going to figure this out, so I'm just not going to tell you right now. I don't want you to stress about it, but God, $42,000 is a lot of money. And that's when I realized I had way too much on my plate and I needed an assistant because I was just trying to do everything all at once. But yeah, that would be one really funny financial mistake that I made.
That's amazing. I really appreciate just the honesty on that, because yeah, at the time that was probably felt like this is the worst thing I've ever done. Mm-hmm. And then as time goes on, you can move through that and you're okay.
Laugh at it. Yeah.
Amazing. All right. So let's talk kind of a bit about the future. What's next? What's the next big goal? What are we working towards?
Well, I have a bunch of mugs on my desk because we're working on our fall flavor, which actually just went into production today because I approved the final flavor, which is really cool. So we'll be having our fall flavor and then our bulk offering that I was talking about a bit earlier. So with us, we know that innovation is just what keeps our customers so excited and what keeps our team so excited, because we get to do photo shoots and, copy and all the creative things. So you can expect a lot more flavors, more functional flavors come 2026, and just a lot of fun video content because we have someone on our team now with a really she's a really talented videographer. So we're going to take you along more on our day-to-day.
Amazing. That's so great. I love to hear that. And so are there any trends that you're kind of really keeping an eye on in terms of like wellness or functional food for the upcoming year or two?
That's a good one. Well, I can't really give it away, but stress reduction and immunity are 2 things that we're really working on. With Beck's Broth, our goal is really for you to just take a moment to yourself and enjoy a really wellness-centered beverage with intention. And we're looking at adding some ingredients that are local and high quality that are going to improve like your whole body health, not just your digestion. So, yeah, we're really focused. We already hit the trends of protein and gut health. So we're just expanding more into whole body health, which is really exciting and nice selfishly, because I really care about that too.
Yes. Well, and as someone who's consuming the product often, I'm sure
Yeah.
yeah, keep
I
those
make it what I want.
yeah, get those extra benefits. Absolutely. That's very exciting. So yeah, what does success look like in this next chapter moving forward?
My biggest focus right now is being a good leader. I'm really focusing on creating an environment of work where people want to come to work every single day and they're learning at work. That's my biggest priority. It's just making sure that my team is enjoying their job. I know they are. They tell me all the time that they love their jobs, but just continuing to help them learn and feel like they're getting something out of this job outside of obviously the pay and the fun that they're having. I want them to be improving. And I just want to keep showing up. I've never really been responsible for people like this before. I'm responsible for so many people's freaking mortgages now and, feeding themselves and their family. So I just am working on how can I take care of myself, show up to work in a way where I have capacity to help everyone through what they need help with. And that's things like I want to train our team on personal financial literacy. I am helping our team learn how to save money and invest their money and learn about finances. So just how can I be better and make working with me something that's going to benefit you in more ways than just getting a paycheck? So that's success. I know it's not financial success. We definitely want to exit in about 5 years. We want to sell the company for a lot of money. Every founder's dream. And that's something we're really, really working towards. But really, really current is making sure my team feels very seen and supported.
That's amazing. Yeah, they sound like very lucky to be able to work with you and to have a boss that cares about those things, because that's not always the case for people. So that's lovely to hear. So we did a lot of kind of the business questions and stuff I wanted to get into. I was hoping to do just a fun this or that, quick kind of thing at the end here with you, just kind of some rapid fire questions.
Yeah, love that.
All right. So bone broth coffee or bone broth hot chocolate?
Coffee every day, every morning.
Sweet or savory?
Sweet.
Are you more into early mornings or late nights?
If I'm in Canada, early mornings. If I'm in Europe, late nights.
Nice. Favorite comfort food?
Oh, that's a good one. I would say banana pancakes right now.
Nice. I love that was the question that stumped you of the day. Me too. So go-to snack during a busy work day?
Beck's Broth matcha.
Nice. Do you have a favorite kitchen gadget or tool?
My Vitamix, absolutely. Oh, and my Roomba. I love my Roomba. I'm a really messy cook.
Yeah, that's super helpful. Is there a food trend that you wish would go away?
I really don't like the whole thing of intermittent fasting. I think it could be helpful for some people, but I feel like women need to feel empowered to eat when they're hungry.
Absolutely. And is there a food trend that you're really loving right now?
Oh, food before coffee. That one's the opposite.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. So thank you so much, Dom, for taking the time to sit down with me. I'm so excited to be able to share this with everyone. And yeah, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me. That was so much fun. It was nice to see you.
Thank you to our listeners for indulging your entrepreneurial appetite with this episode of Friends of FEADies, brought to you by Feed Canada, our funding partner ISET, and founding partner, the Saskatchewan Food Centre. If anything we have discussed today has ignited an entrepreneurial fire within you, but you're not quite sure how to get started, or you're craving mentorship and coaching to help grow your business, please reach out to us at feed.ca. That's FEAD.ca. Connect with us on social media. We're sprinkled all over the digital landscape, and our team is ready to provide the mentorship and coaching you need to flourish. At Feed, we're here to empower women in the agri-food industry, so don't hesitate to reach out to us to join our vibrant community of foodpreneurs. Until next time, bake those dreams into reality, stay hungry for success, and continue to nourish your entrepreneurial spirit with Feed. Bon appetit.